Hello, good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you are in the world. As always, it's your boy, Andrew Esquire, and welcome to the Legal Mindset, where we teach you to be your own judge. What's up to everybody out there, whether you're in America, Asia, New Zealand, Australia, the UK, wherever you are, Africa, South America, I don't give a fuck. I am just glad you are here in the house today because we're going to have a banger today. I'm bringing back some elements that I've been kind of skipping because I've been so in this trial bubble, so in this Johnny Depp bubble that I haven't really had a chance to break outside of that and go back to some of the things that I used to do on my channel all the time and I've just forgotten about. I've been negligent, guys. So I am going to church. I am praying. I'm doing my penance today, and I'm going to go back to some of the good things I do. And one of the things that I'm going to do, it's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. So that being said, let me start off by saying what's up to some of you guys in the chat. As everybody files in here, people see the stream goes live. I see people from all over the world. As always, I like to see where you're from in the beginning. So, whenever you drop in my chats in the morning, just let me know where you're from. Say good morning. Tell me where you're from. It's good to see people in the house. I obviously see Americans in the house. I see my Aussies in the house here today. I see people up here in Philly, over around in got another Kiwi over here, South Africa. I know what's up there. And let's see. I saw Georgia up in the house here. Another South Africa. Got Georgia, New Zealand. A lot of people from around the world in the house today. Brisbane, Australia. I love a good tour around Brizzy. I went to the koala sanctuary there and also had some good brunch there. I don't really remember though. It was with my buddy. We drank a shit ton of food. And let me say one thing: Aussie brunch, completely different than American brunch. I mean, some of the foods you guys have and just the portions too, completely done differently. France, what's up? Vietnam, what's up? Yes, good to see you guys who are in places that are not the United States, because normally I am not here in lovely Miami, Florida, still in my parents' place here in Florida. Normally I'm in Seoul, South Korea. So Netherlands we got over here. Oz, what's going on? And Italy, ciao, bella. All right, so so Germany here, San Antonio, Washington State, Kansas, Greece, Portugal, New York, Ireland, Scotland in the house, Montreal. Oh my gosh, Canuckistan. Peace to you guys up there. It is crazy up there right now. Massachusetts, Alabama. We got a lot of UK. We got Wales, right? And Wales, that's definitely a specific part there. Texas, of course. I'll be in Texas next week. Kentucky, and of course, my homeland, South Florida, right? So shout out to the Floridians in the chat. One of the most base states in the union. I can say that for a fact. All right, so we got two super chats to start here. One is from the wife of his. So much that you could go on, dare I say, mainstream media. Haha, keep up good work. Guys, I'm going to actually get into this. Thank you so much for this, because this is something I'm going to get into today, right? I'm going to get into this today. I will never be a mainstream media shill. I just couldn't do it. And the reason I wouldn't do it is because as soon as you go mainstream media, as soon as you join the mainstream media, they censor you. They censor you. I mean, you can't say whatever you want to say. And the reason why I have this channel, the reason why I do what I do, is because I want to say what I'm going to say. I don't want to be able to be stopped. I don't want to be, told, hey, you can't say this word. It's a no word. This is something you can't do. I mean, look, I avoid things that YouTube is going to take this channel down for, but that's also why I have my locals, right? It's also why I have my locals, so I can say whatever I want on that channel. In between all my platforms, I'm going to say what I'm going to say. Also, we've got Rumble, we've got Odyssey, we've got all these other platforms where we can say whatever the hell we want to say and fuck mainstream media. Seriously, heartfelt. Michael says, when Amber Heard appeals, could they dismiss and reverse the $2 million counter? Well, I'm going to discuss the appeal. We are getting into this. Guys, for everybody who talks shit and is like, Andrew, your titles are clickbait. I'm like, no, bro, you're just not listening. I always give the answer to the title, which is we're going to talk about the appeals and whether or not it can be overturned. So I'll answer this one right now. The answer to this is yes, they absolutely could reverse the $2 million counterclaim. That's absolutely possible. If Amber Heard does appeal, and it looks like she's going to, they can absolutely reverse the $2 million counterclaim. They can do it. So it's totally possible. That is within the law, totally permissible. The judge has discretion to do that. Just because she appeals doesn't mean she's only appealing within the narrow scope of what she wants to appeal on. She's appealing the whole thing. And certainly Johnny's team, if upon appeal, would ask that they consider that as well. So it's just something that would be brought up on appeal regardless. So that's 100% facts. 100% facts. So let's start with something from now that we've got 2,000 of you in the chat. By the way, guys, 2,000 of you in the chat, please smash the like button. It helps. Right now we're at 300 likes. Let's get to 1,000 at least. Let's get to 1,000. We've got enough in the chat to justify that. 2,000 of you, half of you do it. It's 1,000. Not asking for much, guys. So let's start out with something I used to do and I forgot. So for all those that are my locals members, you will know that I have a meme post. So we have a meme post here. This is on my legalmindset.locals.com. A lot of the community members come over here. This is my membership platform, right? Now you can subscribe for free. You can get access to this meme post if you want these fire memes for free. So every week I post a meme post, and under this you can drop your memes. They can be Amber memes, they can be political memes, they can be whatever you want, as long as it's funny. My only requirement is that it be funny. As long as it's funny, you can drop it in here. If it's not funny, I'm gonna delete that shit. But other than that, and yeah, we'll show it live. We always show these live. I was negligent though because of the trial. I kind of forgot about it. So me scusi, guys. We're back. So all right, here we go with the memes, and I show all of them. Right. So enjoy the long weekend. Nancy Pelosi's husband, obviously unearthed here. You've got the DUI test right there. On this Memorial Day, we remember the sacrifice of George Floyd. That was a great line. I'm something of a firearm expert myself. I like this one. I heard Nancy's husband blew the limit in California. There's a limit. Sussman jury evidence. Not looking, baby. Not looking. Corn pop, K-pop. This was great, though. This was trending in South Korea, by the way. March, April, May. Yep, it's time. It's time, guys. Get those flags out. Get those flags out. Live look at the Sussman jury. That's actually a really funny one. June is almost here. Here you go. I'm playing both sides, so I always come out on top. Oh, man. Well, company logos in June. USA, Middle East. Yep. Middle East, mark safe from Pride Month logos. We've got Trudeau, glasses. Yep. That's where we're at. Proud to serve. Know what you're serving for. What's going on here? It's June 1st. Love it. Believe all women? Really? All of them? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. This is a good one. I've seen this one before. Johnny Depp, cash. Looking good. Y'all straight up tripping if you think I'm going to be dropping them gas prices. No cap. I'm gay. Buy my stuff. Very good. Michael Avenatti sentenced to 4 years in prison for defrauding Stormy Daniels. How it's going? You are without doubt the worst liar I've heard of, but you have heard of me. And last, uncanceled. Amber Heard hired by the Daily Wire. I love the B. Amber Heard will always be remembered this day. She almost caught Captain Jack Sparrow. And that's the end of it for the ones on my legalmindset.locals.com. Once again, guys, the only requirement is to be funny. As long as it's funny, you can drop it here. Now, some Amber-related memes over here. Johnny Depp, the first man ever to win an argument with a woman. It's a good one. It's from Tom Connors at Midnight's Edge. Guys, if you didn't see my collaboration with Midnight's Edge, go check that out. That was really fun. Really fun. I love this one. People have been sending me this one. So this is the statement, but it's fixed. So this is all fixed. So the disappointment I feel today is beyond words. I am heartbroken that my lies were not enough to stand up to the truth. I believe Johnny's attorneys succeeded. That's the end. That's all we needed to hear from you, Amber. Just that. Nothing else. Shits and giggles. Shits and giggles. And then, of course, we got next time someone says institutions protect the aggressor, you should agree and show them this picture. Systematic protection of abusers. Disney, WB, Washington Post, Vice, ACLU, Today, L'Oreal, Dr. Hughes, Vogue, CBS, Justice Nickel, Howard Stern, TMZ, Elaine Bredehoff. This is all the people that came out to simp for Amber. Do not forget that. And then, of course, this is a great one. Not really a meme, but more reality. -8 million net worth. Good stuff. Good stuff. So anyways, hope you guys enjoy the memes. I'm a man of the memes. So if you've got them, drop them there. Obviously, joining my legalmindset.locals.com is the best way to get in touch with me and to drop those fire memes. So if you're not subscribed to that, if you're not a person who's joined that, just go ahead and join that. It's my private community. It's totally uncensored, unscripted. So you get unfiltered Andrew on there. I don't have to be cucked by the YouTube the YouTube algorithm. I'm literally it's 6:15 a.m. here, guys. So I'm still waking up. But I will tell you one thing: they won't give you that YouTube revenue if you ain't speaking the YouTube language. That's for damn sure. Christian Ronke said, "Why wasn't the Australia audio allowed in court?" Well, I mean, there's a lot of Australia audio. I'm assuming you're talking about the testimony of the doctors. But I've mentioned this once, and it's fine. I'll mention it again. It was because there were other people involved in that conversation, including a person who is deceased, and that was probably inadmissible. A lot of it was hearsay. It seemed like it would be objectionable as hearsay. So that's probably why it wasn't let in. We are not privy to the exact discussions and the exact ruling of the judge, because there were evidentiary hearings before the trial even started. But we're not privy to those. We don't know, and we will never know. Now, Camille's Johnny's lawyers, so Camille, Ben Chu, they could tell us, and I would believe they would be honest. Elaine is a fucking liar, and we're actually going to review Elaine's statements today. And I didn't want to do it, but I'm going to tell you why I'm going to do it. And I'm going to do it because, well, of a serious reason. We'll get to that in a second. And by the way, if there were any super chats that came in yesterday, so I had a very, very short time with Jahan, the attorney in Australia. We had a very short window of time. He had to go. He was very limited, so I couldn't get all the super chats. So all those ones that are hungover from yesterday, I will address all of those today at the end. So at the end, I'm going to run through all the super chats, and I will get the ones from yesterday. So do not worry. I will never, ever forget about you, baby. Mince Den says, what are excellent grounds the Amber teams talks about? Can the accusation of the jury checking social media during the trial be defamatory? Towards the jury? I'm confused about your second one. Can the accusation of the jury checking social media during the trial be defamatory? I mean, not really. It's an accusation. You're not accusing them of the crime, because technically saying they're checking social media is not a violation. You can go on social media. You just can't intentionally search out that information. And this is something I've said throughout the trial, is that this is the problem in the modern era, is they don't tell you don't go on Facebook, don't go on LinkedIn, don't go on Instagram. What they say is don't look up things about this case. Don't go Google John Depp versus Heard. But if you incidentally see it, that can't be helped. Think about the good old days, right? Back in the day, you might be walking by and there's a TV playing in a store and it's playing about a trial that you're on and you're a juror. Well, you can't help that. You're not trying to set that TV to news about the trial. Now, if you stick around and you watch it, or you were to stay there for a while and you're focused on it, that might be a problem. But incidentally seeing stuff, not a problem. So just because they were using social media isn't necessarily a problem. Also, we're not really clear. We don't have any precedent on social media. Is just seeing a tweet enough? Because, I mean, you don't control which tweets come across your board. And just because you follow somebody, is that per se a bad thing? I think that was a huge issue in this case. And honestly, we need to fucking sort that shit out. We need to clarify. Does following someone on Twitter, is that enough to be brought up in a court case? Think about Tug. They brought up Tug like he was the goddamn boogeyman. Shout out to my boy Tug. He's a great guy. But they brought him up like he was the devil. And the point of the matter is that just following Tug, is that enough? Is that enough to be brought up at court? Is that enough to say, hey, this person, is a bad person who should be kicked off the juror, who lied because he subscribed to Tug? Is that enough? Or would you have to be retweeting? Would you have to be actively tweeting? What is the line? We don't know. We don't have any case law. We don't have any precedent. We don't have any rulings on that. It's a very gray area, but it needs to be sorted out. And frankly, the law, and I'm getting into this today. I'm really going hard on the law today, and especially our legal system. It is old, it is outdated, it is full of boomers, it is institutional as fuck. And honestly, the systems that we have, a lot of them hold us back from finding truth and justice. Our legal system is not perfect. It is far from perfect. And it's important for us lawyers and people who are in the know to point out the things that could be updated. And this is a huge issue. Judges, lawyers are fucking way behind the curve about social media. And look, if that's coming from me, a guy who can't even share stuff properly sometimes, if I'm saying that, there's a huge problem. There's a massive problem. If I'm saying that, there's a problem, right? Especially for the next generation of lawyers that are more and more and more tech savvy, and we're relying on laws that essentially are from the time of a horse and buggy, from the newspaper days. We can't use those standards. They're no longer sufficient. So thank you for that question, man. I think that's an excellent question. I really appreciate that one because it just makes sense. Mal says, I wonder if Amber Heard has an epiphany, confesses, and apologizes. How would the mainstream media scramble to handle it? Well, that's a good one. It depends, I think, right? Which is the typical lawyer answer. So if she was to, let's say, fully apologize and admit to it and confess everything and say that, yeah, she has issues, she has, a condition, she has HPD, BPD, the flip will immediately be to protect her that those diseases are severe and she is she's really a victim of her diseases. The transfer of responsibility will be onto the disease. And we see this a lot nowadays, especially, frankly, with privileged women like Amber Heard, and especially in a situation like in Hollywood, they're allowed to defer their actions onto a disease. They make the disease into like a separate person and they transfer the issues onto that. And mainstream media, society just lets them slide. Now, when you push this over to men, they often don't get away with that. In fact, if you look at it with the substance abuse issues with Johnny Depp, they weren't going to let him off the hook for that. In fact, that was the entire theory of the case. So we often see things treated differently from one situation to another. Miss Dog Lover says, Elaine is a disgrace. She should just give up and run away with her crazy boyfriend, Dr. Spiegel. Jesus, if she was banging Dr. Spiegel, that'd be weird as fuck. That would be weird. If Elaine is banging Dr. Spiegel, that those babies would be like demonic level. It would be real bad. It'd be real bad. By the way, are the audio levels okay, guys? Let me know in the chat. So 1, if the audio is all right. 2, if the audio is a little whack, let me know. I can adjust it a little bit, right? But 1, if the levels are okay. 2, if they're not. Just let me know. Just let me know. Bring the Smoke says, Andrew, it's great you're back in the States and streaming from your parents' bedroom. 1K is within my reach. Can you help me get there? Thank you. So I guess Bring the Smoke, you have a channel. So I'll just plug you, right? So Bring the Smoke, $5 super chat at me. And listen, I'm willing to grift for a $5 super chat. I'm cheap. I'm a cheap date. So go follow Bring the Smoke. I don't know what the hell their channel does, but 1K followers is not a lot. There's 5,299 of you. I'm sure you can get Bring the Smoke to 1,000. Come on. And if they're here, if they're in the chat, they're definitely a based motherfucker, and they're definitely along for the ride. Because guys, we have a lot of topics to cover, and we're going to be on this ride for a long time because the mainstream media is coming after everybody, and they are pulling no stops. So hope that helps Bring the Smoke. Lena in Love said, Elaine went to MM. How is it not contempt for for something in jury? Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, she went on the mainstream media, right? For sure. Now, a lot of people bring up the ethical issues, and I'm going to address that in a second. So I'm going to address her ethical issues for going to the mainstream media, for sure. Oh, what's up, little man? Good to see you in the chat. And it's a chat OG when I see my OGs out there. And a sweetheart says, because if she won her counter, she wouldn't give a shit. This is very true. This is very true. If she had won her counterclaim, she would not be making these statements. That is very true. Speaking of gray areas, how's Elaine's pussycat? Daniel, you're fucking cracking me up. Don't make me put on this cowboy hat. Don't make me put on the cowboy hat. All right, so I'm seeing ones in the chat. Looks like my audio is pretty much okay. Yeah, there you go. So autocorrect, MM is mainstream media, UGD is judge. Okay, yes. So that's what I was getting at, Lena, and I'm going to talk about ethical issues here today. That's something I really want to go off on today. Kara says, do you think volunteering for a soup kitchen in high school was related to community service for a felony charge as a juvenile? Yes, it was probably mandatory. Probably mandatory community service. That's probably why she was volunteering there. I don't think she's got a good bone in her body. I think she has fundamental issues and she has not sorted those out, clearly as an adult. Do you think Elaine is trying to get back before the court so she can negotiate, propose a settlement, and negotiate Amber Heard out of this? Thank you. Appreciate the time you give. No, little rascal. Negotiation settlement time is done. The only option for her is an appeal. That's why the title is appeal. It's like, oh, what's with the title? We're going to talk about the appeal because this is about the appeal. This PR shit, it's not about anything other than setting up grounds for the appeal. It's all about setting up grounds for the appeal. This was always going to be appealed if it went in Johnny Depp's favor. It's never going to be allowed to stick because the impetus, the impetus for Amber to pay and get hit by that and not be able to pay, right? Because apparently she doesn't have the money. They're going to fight it. Because she's just going to dig the hole deeper. Now, there's going to be some issues for her appealing it, but she will appeal it because the cost to appeal it is less than the potential penalty if she loses. So, I mean, the 10 million or rather 8 million, 8.35 million that she can't pay. Yeah, that's more than the cost of the appeal. The appeal won't cost that. It'll be expensive, but it won't cost that. It's not going to cost 8 million. Put it that way. Max Mura, what's up, Max? Could Virginia contempt of court 16.1? Okay, so let me look up that specific one right here. So we got, Max is saying right now we got section. So Virginia, we got section 16.1-6924. Thank you, Max. Okay, so Max just dropped a little gem here. So let's look at this one. Thank you, Max. Let's show this for a second here, and I'm gonna have a guest here in a second, but I want to handle this before I bring them on. So we've got the Virginia code here. This is what Max sent over, and he brought up, and Max is a good friend of mine, so I know he's not gonna send me some bullshit. So here it says, a judge of a district court shall have all the same powers as a judge of the circuit court to punish summarily for contempt, and in no case fine $250 and imprisonment for 10 days. This is essentially the contempt statute. So in this case, yes, if there's a contempt issue, they could use this statute. The judge has his discretion to use that statute to punish Elaine or whoever else they find in contempt of court. Now, we don't know whether what she did was in contempt of court because the judge hasn't ruled on that yet. But is it possible? Yes, of course. It is possible. It's possible. Grim's Barr, what's up, Grim? Good to see you, brother. When Elaine said the article didn't mention Mr. Depp by name, I lolled. She subconsciously admitted it was an insinuation. Yes, exactly. And by the way, Amber has said as much. That it was about him. It was about him. Barbarian for the $1. Thank you very much. Daniel says, if she does, it'll be the most appealing Amber's been since Aquaman. Oh, buddy. Jeff says, pretty sure most dudes smashing Elaine would be crazy. Most dudes would probably rather bang a cold, hot pocket. Damn. Pastor Flash says, put on the hat, cowboy. Couldn't send this earlier driving. Going to take more than that, Flash. $20 super chat's not going to give me that hat. But close though. Keep it going. I'll if I, you know what'll get you the hat? What you get to the hat is we're at 1,000 likes. We're at 1,000 likes. We got 7,000 people in the chat. If I get to 3,000 likes, I'll put on the cowboy hat. How about that, ladies and gentlemen? 3,000 likes, the hat goes on. For how long? Who knows? Because it's not going to balance well with these headphones. But it will go on. It will go on, and we'll slip it on. Let's see what else we got here. We got some more loving from you guys, and I appreciate that. Really, really do appreciate it, guys, because it helps me be your client and not mainstream media's client. Sussex says, Elaine is now doing the same defamation that Wildman was accused of as an agent of DEP, IMO. Yeah, the thing is, she's taken some bold statements, and we're going to review her statements here in a second. And let me bring on my guest here for one moment. We got Jordy who wanted to pop in here. Jordy, how's it going, brother?
Giddy up, cowboy.
How's it going? How's it going?
Yeah, not too bad. You?
Yeah, good. I did want to talk with you a little bit about Elaine, and we're going to watch the video so you can. It's good you came on because she mentions a lot of the UK stuff, so it's good to have an actual UK person, not somebody who a lot of the American lawyers. I mean, I respect them, but they maybe weren't following the Sun trial very closely. Which is not their fault because we're busy and it wasn't televised and nobody was paying attention to it back then, or at least not too many people were in the United States. So I get it, but yeah, appreciate it, Jordy. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries. There'll be no interruptions today either because it's bank holiday over here, so no work.
Yeah, everyone was about to crucify you for that typing. They were like, Jordy, the fuck is the typing going on?
Oh, I know. That was just me typing an email. I wasn't even angry. That was just me fast typing.
Do you have a mechanical keyboard?
No. It's just I work on a laptop.
Oh, okay. And by the way, I see DMC asking. So DMC, I'm in Florida right now. I'm at my family's place, but I'm normally in Seoul, South Korea. So normally 99% of the time I'm in Seoul, South Korea. Although this year I'll be traveling a lot. I definitely will be going to Dubai. I will and explore some of Southeast Asia. I haven't been down there. So going to be traveling as well. Get some love from Miss Dog Lover. Love Jordy, fellow Brit. Yes. A lot of Brits in the chat. So you're getting some love. Not as much hate today.
Oh, that's good.
Patricia said, Waldman posted on Twitter yesterday that he wasn't finished with this. Any idea what that means? Yeah, it means that they may have other cases coming. It's possible. I think they're looking at what people are saying now and maybe perhaps queuing up cases. Because I think there's some outlets that I think they're digging themselves in now for possibly getting hit with defamation as well. And
there's
the
two
outlets,
in the UK that might be hit, in my opinion.
The outlets are the really ones that are digging themselves in. And if they've got, operations in the US, in their UK, they can get sued for sure.
But I don't get why Wildman's saying that, because Wildman wouldn't be the one representing Johnny anymore. His firm that he used in Fairfax, as I've said previously, they have a UK office, a London office. So it would make sense for him to use the same company like he did when he ditched Wildman in the UK trial anyway.
Yeah, maybe he knows what the strategy was, because he was the one who kind of came up with the grand strategy for Johnny. So maybe he knows where the end game is, and maybe he knows this is not the end game. That's what I think that title means. Rosalie says, so Elaine wants 15 minutes more of fame. Yes. Okay, so we're going to get into this right now, and we're going to get into the appeal and all the grounds and whether they're good grounds or not, and whether or not the verdict will be overturned. Yes, we're going to get to the title, guys. So I was concerned about that. Keen says real quick, if the UK court is looking for possible perjury for the donation claim, could all Elaine's talk about the UK trial be a big misstep or no?
So the whole donation thing in the UK, it's going to be very hard to claim because she's publicly stated that she interchangeably uses the word pledge and donation. Yes. Now, whether that's the dictionary definition of those two words or not, if a person genuinely believes that those two words have the same or a similar meaning, it's hard to say, well, you were purposefully lying when you know that those two words are completely different, because she's publicly stated that she uses them interchangeably. Mm-hmm. So it's a hard one to. She's clearly lied about it, but it's a hard one to kind of like prosecute because of the fact that she's publicly said she uses it interchangeably. Yeah.
So I'm with you on that one. So let me get into this little bit of a rant here, and Jordy, excuse me, I'm going to go on for a little bit here, but there's something that's been really pissing me off, and it's been really bad in this case, and that is what's going on with Elaine Bredehoff and her statements. So we're gonna watch her statements. We're gonna watch what she says. We're gonna bring all that stuff up. We're gonna listen to the audio, and one thing I want to bring up, here's the audio. Here's what we're going to listen to. We're going to listen to the whole thing. However, a lot of attorneys have been holding back on their commentary. And the reason why they've been doing it, I want you guys to understand this closely, carefully. The reason why they've been holding back is because of our ethical rules. So attorneys have ethical rules. We have ABA ethical rules here, right? And I've heard a lot of takes, and I'm like, man, that's a weak take, especially, frankly, from the practicing attorneys, especially the ones that, let's say, are practicing in the jurisdiction where this trial went down, right? You have to be extra fucking careful, not just because of the model rules, because these are the ABA rules. Most states have rules that mirror the ABA rules. For example, the Florida rules, almost identical to the ABA professional rules. Same thing as the Virginia rules, almost the same as the ABA professional rules. And these are the rules which govern all lawyers. And the reason why a lot of lawyers are scared, why they're being caught,
professional misconduct, yeah,
is because of this right here. So we have a duty under 8.3. If a lawyer knows that another lawyer has committed a violation of the rules of professional conduct that raises a substantial question as to that lawyer's honesty, trustworthiness, or fitness as a lawyer in other respects, they shall inform the appropriate professional authority.
And that's why practicing attorneys won't proffer any opinion, because if they proffer a negative opinion, technically under Rule 8.3, they're supposed to lodge that complaint officially, where instead of obviously in a YouTube video. That's why they're basically being cooked on it.
Yeah, and let me just say one thing loud and fucking clear. Fuck the ABA. I mean, seriously, fuck the ABA. They're the cause of a lot of problems in our system right now because they fail to enforce their own standards. They fail to look into the complaints. Even if you submit a complaint, they often will just brush it off. There'll be a slap on the wrist. They never take these things as seriously as they should. They're actually an organization which multiple times people have called for the disbandment of the ABA. I personally think the ABA should go away completely. I think there should be no regulatory body, governing this misconduct. I think it should be handled through, if need be, criminal civil prosecution. I think that's completely permissible. Now,
or the bar,
there should be standards to become a lawyer. I agree with that, right? But the ABA is a regulatory body, a self-policing body. I'm not okay with that.
So the ABA is nothing to do with the bar, then, basically.
So there's two separate ones. So the ABA is an organization on its own which sets these rules and standards, which the states end up usually taking those in and making those requirements of the state. But also, here's the thing. Most state bar associations are extraordinarily activist. They're extraordinarily political. And at the same time, you're required to be a part of their organizations. And mind you, these same organizations, the bar associations, both locally and the ABA nationally, have taken views that are very controversial, have taken advocacy positions regarding, we could talk about abuse, right? They've gone out and talked about gender-based violence. They've gone and talked out about #MeToo. Believe all women. They've made statements on these things, or people who are their representatives have made statements on these things. That's why I'm not a big fan of the ABA. I say fuck the ABA. And I know, listen, my interpretation of this and what I think any reasonable person says is this means that a lawyer who knows has to report. Know in here means absolute knowledge. Not you have a strong feeling or you're 50% plus one. I'm talking about you 100% know that this is the case. And the reason why I say this is because, and by the way, let's say you were going to report Elaine Bredehoff. Let's say you thought Elaine Bredehoff was doing something bad, right? Elaine Bredehoff is a member of the Virginia bar, right? If you go down and look at where she's a member of, she's admitted to practice in Virginia and DC. So you'd go over here to the bar, right? You'd go over here and you'd go and submit a complaint here, right? And I'm not telling anybody to do this. I'm just saying this is what happens. I want to explain the process and why lawyers don't do it and why they're cucked and why they're afraid to talk about this. That's the only reason why I'm doing this. So they would go over here. There's an online form if you want. This is probably the easiest way to submit a complaint to the bar. You'd go over here. You'd fill out all your information, right? You'd fill out the lawyer's name. You'd fill out their law firm, all their information here. So if it was Elaine, you'd fill out Elaine's information right here. And you'd say the actions you're complaining about, people who might give additional information. You'd fill all this out. Look, have you or a member of your family contacted them before? So once again, they're trying to get how close are you? Well, if you were a member of the public, you'd click no on this, right? Because you haven't contacted them. Have you filed a complaint or legal action about this matter anywhere else? Well, no, you probably haven't. What's your relationship? The client? Nope. Former client? Nope. Friend or relative? Nope. Opposing party? Nope. Opposing lawyer? Nope. Other. The reason why they list these is these are the most common. These are people who have direct knowledge. They know 100% about the ethical behavior. If you're sitting at home, you can't really read the whole situation. You can feel it. And certainly I can say that she's been unethical in a broad sense, in a moral sense, right? And I think what she did is unethical in a very broad sense. I don't give a fuck what the APA says, because the APA is clearly full of shit. They're clearly full of a bunch of bitches that never actually punish attorneys when they deserve to be punished. Think about Thomas Binger in the Rittenhouse case, when he brought up all the impermissible evidence. Here, look, people can look at what Elaine and Rottenborg did and say, it's fucked up. What they did during that closing, that was fucked up. To call upon the sympathy of others, it's fucked up. Do I know under this definition? No, that's the APA's definition. But do I know morally it's wrong? Absolutely. Yep. Abso-fucking-lutely. So this is why people are terrified to talk about it. This is why lawyers won't talk about it. It's important for you guys to know, because, you know, they sometimes come out there, especially the ones that are practicing, especially the ones that are visible, especially the ones that are face forward in the court. They do not want to lose their license or their practice, so they're not going to be able to say it. So just to understand why some of them have given very soft takes on Elaine. That's why.
And one of the things I want to say about this clip before you play it, is I wonder how much Amber's paying Elaine to be a PR rep.
I mean, you're not lying, Jordy. You're not lying. Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely not lying. It's 100%. I mean, this is PR.
That's all it is.
I mean, this is not a legal piece.
And it's like if you look into some of the claims that Elaine makes, which obviously we'll do afterwards, they're ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. They're absolutely 100% ridiculous. All right, so let's play this. We're gonna break it down. I'm gonna give some commentary. It's only 5 minutes. This is the cut version. I'm not gonna subject you to what some of the other lawyers did and get you to all the commercials on the bullshit. So here you go, real quick. This is gonna be fun.
First question, how is Amber doing? We saw her.
Okay, first question is a fuck up already. Literally, everything is about framing. So when you are listening to something, you listen to what's at the beginning and what's at the end, usually, very strongly. So when you start this and your first question is, how is Amber doing? You're starting this out in a framing where Amber is a victim, where Amber is hurting, where Amber is the one we should feel sorry for. So already you can tell where the Today Show is at. Just from that first question, right? It's not, how are you doing, right? It's Amber. Why did she ask about Amber specifically? Because, like Jordy said, this is fucking PR for Amber.
Hearing that verdict, it took a long time to read. It was a sweeping verdict for Johnny Depp. How did she handle it?
You know, one of the first things she said is, I am so sorry to all those women out there.
Just like she should be.
For all women in and outside the courtroom, and she feels the burden of that.
Well, no, she should, because she faked a domestic violence crime, so she should feel bad. So because all those women that have real domestic violence claims they're made lesser by her fake claim. Yep. Now that's not what she meant.
Of course, it's not.
She should feel bad. Oh, someone says the volume is low, so I'm gonna crank this bitch to 100. So sorry guys. This it was low. There was audio. You could hear it, right, Jordy?
I could hear it, but it was low, but I didn't know.
So it's gonna go. It's going all the way up, guys. We're going to 100. We're going to 100, guys. You'll hear it now. But all she said there, literally, I'll replay it for you guys because this is not much. We'll restart this.
It was a sweeping verdict for Johnny Depp. How did she handle it?
You know, one of the first things she said is, I am so sorry to all those women out there. This is a setback for all women in and outside the courtroom. And she feels the burden of that.
Well, knowing the case and knowing...
See, that's what it was, guys. She feels bad for all women. Yes, once again, because she did something wrong. She should feel bad.
The law, as you certainly do, it favors defendants like Amber Heard. Are you stunned that the jury essentially rejected her story?
Well, you know, really what happened here is it's a tale of two trials. Johnny Depp brought a suit in the UK for the same case.
No, he didn't.
No, he didn't.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. She was not a party.
Lie
She was not
detector
a party.
test says that is a fucking lie. So,
and this is what's pissing me off with mainstream media. Excuse my language.
Yeah.
But mainstream media are trying to say Johnny Depp had his chance to sue Amber Heard in the UK and he lost and they found him guilty. No, that is not what happened at all. Johnny Depp sued News Group. NGN, basically. Can't remember what the initials are. Basically, the owner of The Sun, and Dan Wooten, who was an executive editor who actually wrote the article itself about the claims of him being a wife beater. Now, yes, the outcome of that was in the favor of The Sun, allowing The Sun to call him a wife beater. That does not mean that Amber's claims were all 100% true. That just means that there was enough evidence that judge supposedly saw that meant the Sun were allowed to call him a wife beater. But you can hit your wife once, and if you don't know if the people don't know the context behind that hit, you're a wife beater.
Right.
So them saying that this whole UK thing and he lost it's yes, he lost the UK trial, but it didn't directly relate to Amber and it had nothing to do with Amber apart from the fact that she was their main witness.
Yeah, and this is something that, look, I don't give a shit what the ABA says, what the American Bar Association says. Fuck the American Bar Association. This should be unethical. This should be sanctionable. Lying like this, knowingly lying, because here's the thing: when the judge tells you no, and when you know the law, when you know there's been a ruling on this, and you come out and say it anyways, it should be something that lawyers are disciplined for. I mean, I know she won't be, by the way. She won't be punished for this, but she should be. She should be. Whether or not she is or not, she should be. And that's what I get. It's aspirationally. Fuck the ABA. Fuck what they have to say. Fuck their standards. Their standards suck. They clearly don't work because they allow lawyers like Elaine Bredehoff to get away with this shit. Scott says, did you see the juror commentary post-verdict post on TikTok? No, I have not seen that one. I will check that out. We'll do that in a separate one when I kind of keep these things focused, right? Today we're on the appeal. That's not going to impact the appeal. Jurors are allowed to comment. So it's not going to really skew the appeal if the jurors commenting after they've rendered a verdict. They can do that. Now they're blowing their anonymity, but they can do that. It's possible for them to do that. So yeah, good comment though. Good comment. Oh, and I think I see Law Talk with Mike in here. What's up? Good to see you.
I was just about to say shout out to Mike. I just saw him in
Mike.
there.
Yeah, I'm running through this a little quick because I want to get through this. But after I finish, I'm happy to send you an invite, Mike. I'll do it through DMs privately.
And the proof was easier for him there. The Sun had to actually prove that it was true, and the court found there, and we weren't allowed to tell the jury this, but the court found that Mr. Depp had committed at least 12 acts of domestic violence, including sexual violence against Amber. So what did Depp's team learn from this?
That is true.
So the 12 and the 6, that is actually true. The counts were true.
Yeah, so Amber brought 14 incidents before the UK court, and I actually believe 3 of them were ignored. So I believe it was actually 14 minus 3 is 11. So I believe it was actually 11 counts that the judge believed. But 11 of these incidents, he found her to be credible and to be telling the truth. So yeah. Yeah.
So there were counts, right? So I mean, that's true. So look, hey. Give credit where credit due. That's true. But here's the thing. She's positing this once again as similar, the same as the U.S. case with the same parties, the same, rules of evidence, which frankly, it's not. We talked about this, Jordy, and the reason why I love having you on is like the rules of evidence are different in the UK and the US.
Well, that's it, because you've got to remember that a lot of the evidence that Johnny has relied on in the US wasn't allowed in the UK court. Boom. And vice versa. A lot of the evidence that Amber Heard relied on in the UK court wasn't admissible in the US court. And that's one of the things I want to talk to you about after this clip.
That is a big fucking deal. And that's why I appreciate you being on today, because that's a big deal. Stuff being admissible in one place and another, that's a massive deal. The jury can't consider facts that aren't before the court. The judges can't consider those facts either. I mean, they're not before the court. So it's really ridiculous.
Amber and suppress the evidence. We had an enormous amount of evidence.
And by the way, I see people saying that the TikTok thing is bogus or fake. Okay, great. Great. So that makes it something I don't have to review. So we will definitely not review that then. But I would have found that out pretty quickly, guys. When I search these things, I find out if something is bullshit or not.
Pressed in this case that was in the UK case. In the UK case, when it came in, Amber won, Mr. Depp lost.
But here's the thing.
Amber did not win. She wasn't a fucking party. She can't win.
We're able to get some evidence that you say demonstrated abuse. You certainly had her testimony. There were pictures, documents, all kinds of evidence.
I don't see a world in which there's actual documents or pictures of the abuse itself. So that wouldn't be admissible.
So there was certain
drink some water, Jordy, man. You gotta get some fluids, bro.
I know, right? I've only had my first cup of tea. I need another one in a bit. In the UK, she was relying on her diary entries. So that's documentation that she would have been referencing here. And there was also medical records or notes, I assume, from her treating psychologist that apparently go back to about like 2012, 2013 that were used in the UK trial as well.
Jordy, there were no medical records of the actual injuries to herself. There's no medical record of a broken nose, of a black eye, of a destroyed vagina.
See, that's where I disagree with you, because technically, a psychologist's notes should, I don't think they are, but should be classed as medical records. Because although a psychologist may not have physically seen all of the injuries, first off, this psychologist in her notes said that there was some bruising that she saw. Whether it was fake bruising or not, who knows? But apparently there was some bruising, and that a lot of these incidents were reported to her psychologist. So I can understand where Elaine's coming from, because that psychologist would have taken notes, vague notes, because that's what psychologists do, but notes nonetheless of these incidents. So those notes technically should, in theory, be classed as medical records, because they are from a medical professional.
Jordy, I get what you're saying. You're making an argument because they're from a medical professional, and our psychologists, medical professionals. We can debate that, right? But let's just, for the sake of argument, let's just let that in, right? But that is only, those notes are going to get to her state of mind. None of that is going to testify to the actual damage. I mean, we have, we used to have something called the impact rule. We'd actually have to be hit by something, to have damages, and it's not going to document the actual, the things that
it's
are
not
at
a
issue
hospital
here.
examining her.
Yes.
Exactly.
And that's what I think people want to see. I get what you're getting at. I see your logic. I'm not going to debate it right now, because we could go back and forth on that, right? Like, should there be a separate category for example, more state of mind versus state of body, right? Kind of separate those out in terms of two types of medical records. Maybe we could talk about that. That's interesting, right? But I see your point. Okay, those are medical records, but even so, we cannot verify based on those records that she was actually attacked with a Maker's Mark bottle, that she was actually punched in the eye. Yeah, it's okay. Thank you. We're on the same page. So I don't think those notes coming in would have materially changed the U.S. case.
No, but what I'm saying is I think Elaine's trying to say that kind of evidence that was allowed in the UK case would have made a sway in the US case. I agree with you. I don't think it would have swayed the US case at all, but Elaine clearly thinks it would have.
Yeah.
You argued in your...
She does believe it. I do believe she believes it bullshit.
Found even one instance of abuse, and it did not even have to be physical abuse, that they would have to find for Amber Heard, and they didn't.
And the other part to bear in mind here is nothing changed. The op-ed didn't even mention Mr. Depp by name. And so what basically they did here is demonize her. And they were able to suppress the medical records, which were very, very significant because they showed a pattern going all the way back to 2012.
See, they're talking about, and this is it. They're talking about
this is a psychologist note.
Psychologists. This is, but the way she's framing it is misleading. And what everybody is thinking when she's framing it that way, Jordy, I know what you're saying. I get that argument as a legal argument. You're arguing, okay, it's a medical record because they're a medical professional. But the way she's saying it and the way that most people, the regular Joe, is going to think when she says medical record, your mind doesn't normally think. If I ask somebody, hey, is a medical record your state of mind? They'd say no. right? They would say no, even though it may fit a legal definition, particularly in the UK. And I don't know UK law, so I defer to you on that one. If you're telling me that in the UK those are considered medical records, then I have to believe you.
I mean, medical records is any records made by a form of practitioner. So that could be a hospital doctor,
very
it could
broad.
be a hospital nurse, it could be a GP, a general practitioner at your doctor's surgery, could be your psychologist. So, yeah.
Okay.
Amber reporting this to her therapist, for example. We had significant amount of texts, including from Mr. Depp's assistants, saying, when I told him he kicked you, he cried. He is so sorry. That didn't come in.
Is there any other way to interpret this verdict, though, that this jury, for whatever reason, and I hear you on some of the evidence that they didn't hear, listening to Amber Heard, did not believe a single word?
And that's because she was demonized here.
She was demonized. That's the reason. Not because she was unbelievable on the stand, not because she fucking was lying, but because she was demonized, right?
Now, I'm not...
the sole reason. That's undermining the jury right there.
I'm not saying that what Elaine's saying is true, but I'm very surprised that Elaine didn't go into Darvo tactics here, because what a perfect kind of like attack, if you like, from Elaine would have been going into Darvo. So Darvo is a tactic often used in DV and SV claims, where the person that is accused, so obviously Johnny was the one accused in this instance, will deny, attack, and reverse victim and offender. So hence Darvo. And basically what that means is they will deny that it ever happened. They will attack the victim or supposed victim's credibility, and then they will reverse the role of victim and offender. Now, obviously, again, I'm not saying it would ever work, and I'm not saying that I believe that Johnny's team employed that tactic, because I don't believe all of Amber's story anyway. If anything, Amber is the one employing the Darvo tactic. But I'm very surprised that when Elaine's saying that they're demonizing her, that she hasn't tried to use the Darvo argument, simply because it is usually the person that is accused of the abuse that is employing the Darvo tactics. So it would make sense for that link to be made. And there would be people that would agree with her. I wouldn't be one of them, but people would agree.
I get what you're saying, but I do think this is more, and you said it yourself in the beginning, you said a PR tactic, a PR angle. I think a lot of this is not fully for legal strategy, but a little bit more for PR. And I do believe that there's a narrative that she's playing into here.
But that's what I mean. If it's purely for PR, attack Johnny's team on Darvo.
Yeah, I mean, well, let's listen to the rest of it, because I mean, I think we need to get some more context.
Were allowed in this court that should not have been allowed, and it caused the jury to be confused. We weren't allowed to tell them about the UK judgment. So
as you shouldn't be. It's a different fucking country, but we've covered that.
Completely skewed. There are no damages. It stopped at November 2, 2020, which is when the judgment came down in the UK.
Let me ask you about social media in this case.
So, Jordy, predict. Is it going to be happy about social media or bad about social media? What is she going to say here?
It's going to be bad.
Yeah.
Every case certainly I've ever covered or ever seen, social media was a part of this. And it was incredibly lopsided and vitriolic against Amber Heard. Do you think that had an effect on the case?
Absolutely.
You think jurors were aware of it? They weren't supposed to be. They're admonished every single day. Don't look at it. Do you think they did see it?
How can you not? They went home every night. They have families. The families are on social media. We had a 10-day break in the middle because of the judicial conference. There's no way they couldn't have been influenced by it. And it was horrible. It really, really was lopsided. And I appreciate your saying that. It's like the Roman Colosseum, how they viewed this whole case. I was against cameras in the courtroom, and I went on record.
By the way, the USB port sound, that's on their end. So whoever's recording this, because this is a cut version, I don't know what the fuck they did, but they were having USB port problems. So sorry about that, guys. But this is a clipped version. I just like it because it's shorter.
I thought the same thing when I watched it.
It's not me. It's not me.
Because of the sensitive nature of this. But it made it a zoo.
Does your client want to appeal?
Oh, absolutely.
So, okay, there you go. Okay, so one of the reasons why we're doing this, we titled this, and the reason I titled this is to talk about the appeal, because she mentioned it, and she says absolutely, which means it's happening, and it's going to be, it was a logical thing. I mean, Jordy, did you expect this to be appealed? I mean, as a person who's been following this?
As soon as I saw that they were doing proffers in full detail, I knew there was going to be an appeal coming. I knew that they knew they were going to lose at that moment, and I was like, yeah, proffers always happen, but not in that much fucking detail.
Yeah. And what we're getting here, what she's talking about, is the bases for an appeal. We'll talk about those grounds after we finish, but she's listing off the bases for appeal.
She has some excellent grounds for it. We even had tried to get the UK judgment in to dismiss his case because he already had his.
That's insane. That would be a gross violation of U.S. law, a complete crazy precedent, which has never happened before anywhere else in the United States. For Elaine to even posit that is fucking nuts.
I missed that bit. What did she say?
She said they tried to get in. So we have an issue called claim preclusion.
Yep.
So when you've litigated a claim already, you can't litigate it again.
Correct. So, yeah, but he didn't litigate this claim anywhere.
But she just said that they tried to have it brought in to stop the claim completely.
Yeah, and Judge A turned around and said, well, that was a completely different case that had nothing to do with this. So,
and she thinks this is a good grounds for appeal. Now, that one, that specific ground, get the fuck out of there. You will be blown out if you try to say, yeah, we need to take a non-applicable case from a different country and import it to America. That would blow out everything. I mean, that'd be huge, because guess what you'd start doing? You would start suing people in other countries and then bringing the claims to the United States. I would sue people. I'll do the same. I would sue people in Haiti where, I have family that can just bribe a judge, come to a ruling and then pass it over to the United States. Right?
Yeah, and I agree with it. The ruling shouldn't pass. However, I do think they should have been able to bring part of the judgment in, because part of the judgment does support their case. Now, again, Johnny won, and I'm glad that Johnny won. It's massive for societal impacts about men being victims and the fact that victims can lie too. But Judge Nicol, whether he was biased or not, which I think he was biased, did say that 11 or 12 of her accounts of abuse he found to be fully true. Now, that part of the judgment fully supports Amber Heard's claim that Johnny was the abuser. Therefore, in theory, should have been able to at least be admitted in evidence.
One more time on the last part. What do you think should be admitted in evidence specifically, Jordy?
So specifically the fact that the judge in the UK found 11 or 12 incidences of abuse of Johnny against Amber to be true and for Amber to be credible.
Do you think that should be admissible?
I think they should have been able to use that, yes, because it is by a judge.
How should they be able to admit it?
So, I mean, the UK trial was mentioned often enough that if they were allowed to mention it, then they should have been allowed to bring in things from it. Now, the overall judgment, no.
Okay, you're saying don't bring in the context, but allow them to mention at the trial, but then are you allowing to fully rebut the fact that law is inapplicable and doesn't apply here?
Yes.
And
There's
case precedent for that. So we're gonna go on. We're gonna go back and forth about how in court, in front of the jury, about how they can talk about it, but how UK laws don't apply in the United States. We're going to explain to them fully how they have a different system. We're going to explain fully your different burdens of proof. We're going to explain fully your different evidentiary system. We're going to explain fully the way that you guys do things and every nuance that's different in the UK and the United States. We're going to explain all of that.
Correct, because I think the jury, it would make a different. I think it would have. Now, again, I'm on Team Johnny's side here.
I know you are, but
I think it would have made a difference for Amber's team, for the jury to hear that in the judge's opinion in the UK, whether laws are different or not, the judge's opinion was that Amber was telling the truth about 11 or 12 of those incidents of abuse. Now, if a judge of any stature in a Western country was to have that opinion...
Hold on, no. I'll allow it if the judge will come testify in person and he can be cross-examined under oath in the United States. I'll allow that.
I mean, he'd probably agree to a deposition, but I doubt he'd go and testify.
Well, then he shouldn't be allowed. Then I'm sorry, he should not be allowed because he needs to be under the rigors of our system, and he needs to get under there and cross-examination. All that shit, that conspiracy chart, which I'm not even pulling up right now, all that shit, he needs to be subject to deposition on that. Subject to cross-examination on that, not these shitty-ass depositions. I mean, to me, I mean that needs to be brought the full context. If you're going to allow it, you got to allow everything. Now, it's not just the tip. We're not playing just the tip.
And I agree with you on that.
And by the way, Jordy, the trial becomes, this was a 6-week trial. You bring in the UK stuff, it's almost a 10-week trial. I mean, we've got another 4 weeks just doing that back and forth, bringing in experts, bringing in legal scholars, talking about how UK and US are different. You want to do that, that's fine, but it's going to be crazy, man. It's going to get pretty crazy.
But I see. I would agree that could happen, but I don't think it would because, like I said, you're not bringing in the judgment itself, so you don't need to explain UK law. You're bringing in a section of the judgment where you're bringing in a judgment, and people are going to give that weight. They're going to say we think because a judge said this. Well, legally this must be true. People give a huge weight to judges in other decisions. Especially the UK, because they're going to think, okay, UK is kind of like the US, right? We came from them, right? So because they would. Most people don't understand the differences between the legal system. So I get
exactly,
the
Jordy. The average intelligence. They train us this in law school.
That's what I forget is the average intelligence.
Average intelligence. They tell us it used to be 6th grade. They tell us we're speaking to 3rd graders.
Yeah.
3rd graders. You're an intelligent guy, Jordy, and I get it. We're having an intelligent conversation in between two people who are smart people. We can talk about the differences, but we're talking about people with the intelligence of 3rd graders. We cannot have them confused. They get easily confused. So I get your point. I see what you're saying. And you know what? I appreciate that you brought it because I've never had anybody bring that point. So I do appreciate that, Jordy.
I mean, someone's got to play devil's advocate every now and again.
I appreciate it. Yeah. So guys hating on Jordy, guys, listen, I appreciate him bringing that because I needed that. I need somebody to like challenge me and bring it up. And look, I don't think America is the end all be all, but there's a reason why you bring stuff in other countries, right? I think the case against the Sun was appropriate in the UK. And if you guys don't like the Sun case, change your system, right? That's not my job.
I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with our system. It's our judges that are shit over here. I mean, the fact that, it's a whole different conversation. But
so how do you do that? I have no clue, right? I have no clue how you fix your judges. We have the problem where some of our judges are elected and people think that's a bad system, right?
I mean, that is a bad system because that's all political.
But there's accountability in an election. So, I mean, if you fuck up, you're accountable, right? Versus if you're appointed for life, you're kind of immune from criticism, right? So
you're not, because you can be debenched, can't you? So you can be stripped of being a judge, can't you?
Yes, you can be stripped of being a judge. Now in the US it's rare. I'm not saying that's not something that happens often, but it can happen. Right, it can happen. So anyways, guys,
you wouldn't want it to happen often, would you? Or else your judicial system would be a joke.
Yeah. I mean, it would be a joke. It would be a fucking joke. Jordy, seriously, I'm glad to have that conversation. And guys, you think I just bring on people that agree with me all the time, but that's definitely not the case.
And that's one of the issues, but also a number of the evidentiary issues. There was so much evidence that did not come in.
Is she able to pay a $10.4 million judgment?
Oh, no, absolutely not.
Now I have a question about that.
Sorry, but that is like the fact that she went out and said that is like, this bitch is broke. Like,
I was informed yesterday that if Amber appeals,
hold on, Jordy. Before you do that, I've been informed that we hit 3,000 likes. We're actually at 3,130.
Get that cowboy hat on.
All right, guys. All right. Yeehaw, bitches.
Giddy up, cowboy.
Giddy up. It's here. Cowboy mindset. All right, let me see if I can put these backwards a little bit. It's going to fit. All right. Hold on. I'll just drop it there. There we go. Cowboy mindset. It's going to happen. All right. Well, that's your Photoshop, guys. Okay, take the photo. Take the still. Guys, take the still right now. I'm going to put the headphones back on. Take your still right there. Got the hat. Got the hat posed to the side, off the other side. Looking good. Finger guns. Right? All right, guys. So now that I've messed up my hair for the day, thank you, guys. Someone clip that. I know you're on it. LawTube is always on it. But seriously, thank you. This was so actually about this hat real quick. I was doing a Westwood Hollywood thing. So I took this like fake dust and I made it look kind of dirty, like to make it look like it was like a used Western hat. It was a pretty cool project for when I did Teddy from Westwood. So it was a good Halloween thing. It's a comfortable hat. Mine's better than Uncivil's though. I love Uncivil, but mine's better. All right. So $10 million. What was your question, Jordy?
Yeah, so I was informed yesterday. Now, I don't know how much this is correct or not because I was informed by a British person, so I don't know how much they know about the American legal system. But they said that if Amber was to bring an appeal, she'd have to put that 10 mil up in bond. Is that true?
I don't know I don't know the Virginia rules and whether or not, because I'm not a Virginia lawyer, but I don't know whether she'll have to put all 10 million up, but she will have to put money in escrow in order to appeal. Now,
to prove that she can pay that,
right.
the initial judgment.
She may be able to put a percentage of it up, and then somebody will bond it for the rest, right? I'm not sure exactly the functioning of that, right? I don't do the finance of appeals, but yeah, she will actually have to put up real money, at least some real money. Like there'll be actually something on the line. So she may be calling Sugar Daddy Musk, or she may be looking, sliding into Jeff Bezos's DMs, being like, "Yo, Jeff Bezos, what's going on, baby?"
Bezos will just provide her with some shitty Amazon lawyer. Wait, Bezos is Amazon, isn't he?
Exactly. He is Amazon. Yeah. He is Amazon. Here we go.
Closing arguments, Amber's team argued that this would send a message, that it would send a message that no matter what you do as an abuse victim, you always have to do more. You need to be perfect in order for people to believe you if she did not get a favorable verdict.
I mean, that's not true. Johnny's not perfect, and they believe Johnny.
Exactly. It's a complete fucking lie. It's a complete fucking lie. Look at her face, too. Look at this fucking face. This is the face of somebody who's about to tell a goddamn lie. You know,
it's an Amber Heard face.
The message. It's, as I said, a setback. It's a significant setback because that's exactly what it means. Unless you pull out your phone and you video your spouse or your significant other beating you, effectively, you won't be believed.
And this is ridiculous because, frankly, there's thousands of people around the world that have, around the United States, because we're talking about U.S. law right now. There's thousands of people that get convictions for DV without video, right? With records, with police reports, with medical records. Jordy, any other thoughts on that video?
Wow. I mean, she's lost. I think she's kind of like lost the plot at this point.
Oh,
I mean, she's clearly had lessons from Amber on facial expressions, because some of those facial expressions were straight out of the Amber Turd playbook.
Yep.
And it's like I don't understand, like, knowing what I know about the US law and the fact that you can't bring cases from other countries into it, especially when they basically have no bearing on the case anyway.
Right.
I don't understand why she's referencing the UK trial so much. I understand, like I've said, the evidence on both sides is a bit different in both cases. There was stuff that Amber brought in the UK she wasn't allowed to bring in the US, and vice versa. Johnny brought in the US that he wasn't allowed to bring, or that the judge wouldn't consider in the UK. Mm-hmm. So I get that, but I mean, it doesn't matter whether you'd have tried it in frickin' Timbuktu. I mean, evidentiary laws are different across the world.
Exactly. Like 100%. They're different everywhere, right? They're different everywhere. Let me catch some super chats on this so I get you guys' opinions, because, guys, you had a lot of opinions on this. I'm just going to read them. I had some comments that, hey, people don't like the spreadsheet, so I'm just going to keep me maximized here so you see this lovely faces. I'm reading them off. But Grimm's Barr, when Elaine said the article didn't mention Mr. Depp by name, I lolled. Yeah, that one for 100% sure. It was an implication. It was a clear implication. Sussex Sandra says, Elaine is now doing the same defamation that Wildman is accused of. Oh, actually, I did get that one. Let me jump down here. Wife of his says, saw you on FNF. You have that it factor. Thank you so much, that wife of his. Tara Rayner says, where can I send a meme since I'm Twitter banned and I have great ones? My own, that is. Well, if you want to send memes, send them to my locals, legalmindset.locals.com. You will never be banned off that platform because it's a free speech platform. And if you join my community, you can say whatever the fuck you want and you will never be banned. We were talking about Rona. We were talking about the election. We're talking about everything in there. You can talk about whatever you want. Nobody cares. As long as you post funny memes, I don't care what it's about. Legalmindset.locals.com. Discharged equals Amber Heard would owe taxes on $8,350,000 as income. That's true. That's true. But taxes are a lot better than the whole thing. That is true. The taxes are a lot better.
Johnny would be paying on tax on that because Johnny won that, not Amber.
Oh no. What he's saying is if Amber gets those, so let's say Johnny never receives the money because Amber has those debts discharged.
Yep.
Under some circumstances, depending on how they're discharged, right? This is all, up there, right? Because obviously, if you go through bankruptcy, it's possible you don't have to pay taxes on it.
Yep.
Because that's kind of a clean slate. That's the principle behind bankruptcy. Is really
because that's what I'd assume she'd do.
Yeah.
If she loses the appeal, she'll just go bankrupt.
If it's bankruptcy, then there'll be no taxes, right? Then the taxes are kind of rolled into that. That's not going to be something that it's the discharging through bankruptcy. You're not going to be paying tax on that. But if it's discharged in any other way, in any other way, shape, or form, then she might have to pay taxes on that. As an Australian, can you please explain the difference between the Pledge of Allegiance and the donation of allegiance? What the fuck is the donation of allegiance? What the fuck are you talking about, bro? I don't know what you're talking about. Daniel, donation of allegiance? What?
Is he not just trying to meme you?
I get it. You fucking got me. Daniel, you got me. God damn it.
I thought you were smarter than that, Andrew.
No,
I thought I was the dumb one here.
No, you know why I was dumb? I was dumb for taking Daniel freaking Chapman in a cowboy hat seriously. Nobody takes someone in a cowboy hat seriously. Nobody takes someone in a cowboy hat seriously. Lesson for life. Tara Rayner comes again. It says, Elaine just litigated for a client what she is doing. The precedent is now sent by her, and she should have been Wildmans sanctioned and shamed. I agree with that. Michelle says, washing the pots in the UK, you're handsome. Thank you very much. I try to stay fly. Grimm's Barr said, why is a person required to join some arbitrary group to practice law, but not required to join said group to be subject to laws? It's strange. Yes. It is very, very strange. And you know what it is? It's protecting the profession. It's protectionism. Lawyers got together and they didn't want anybody to be able to do it. They wanted to protect themselves and protect their revenues and protect their grift. So they formed these bar associations, which really are to protect them and their friends and their interests. Yeah, I said it. Fuck the ABA. Let's see. Daniel says, what, if any, talk shows has Elaine been on today? Oh, it's too good. Henry said, if a lot of the UK evidence was excluded due to Darvo reasons, then I have to wonder how many miscarriages of justice have occurred in the UK.
Yes. And that is why a lot of the evidence was thrown out. So basically, Johnny had brought quite a bit of evidence to the UK trial, like he did to the US trial, that attacks her character. Now, the judge basically said, well, this is a well-known tactic, Darvo, of people accused of abuse. And obviously, in the UK trial, he was most certainly being accused of abuse. So the judge basically said, well, I'm not gonna take this evidence into consideration because it's just all part of this Darvo tactic.
So little Mandy says, she sounds like Hillary Clinton, not to be trusted. God, that's definitely true. Do not trust the Clintons. Daniel said, again, look forward to Elaine calling the bee to the stand. Well, not in this
and
trial.
The dog.
Yeah, and the dog. That would have been great.
I wanted Pistol and Boo on the stand. Justice for Pistol and Boo.
This is a good one. Daddy-O Dougio says, all the media supporting is either owned or edited by women. She could have some powerful backers purely on the narrative. Yeah, I think you do have to look at the owners of who's owning these media companies. Not just women, but I think it's people with an agenda, right? Because many women back Johnny Depp. Well, shout out to all the ladies out there. This chat's mostly ladies backing Johnny Depp. It's majority ladies. Majority of my audience I know is ladies. And you guys are backing Johnny Depp by and large. But there are people who are so invested in this narrative, the Me Too, #BelieveAllWomen, and those tend to be women, right? There tend to be more women than men that are down with #BelieveAllWomen and #Me Too. That's just the way that works based on what it is, right? When you're calling on something to hate men, it's and not believe men and view men as not credible, less men are going to support that. That's just a fact.
The mainstream media would say that you're being very misogynistic there.
I'm extraordinary. This is according to the media, this is an orgy of misogyny. I'll find that one later. But that was
brilliant when
article.
I saw that. That was fantastic.
That was a great article. I will always join the orgy of misogyny. Andrew Jimp says, Amber Heard says, I just want to move on until I win. That's very true. Human ID says, I believe Amber. Depp had drug-induced psychosis. Well, whether he had drug-induced psychosis doesn't necessarily mean make him he's violent, an abuser.
Though. Yeah.
So and I don't know where you come with that, Human ID, but you could be right.
That's the one thing that annoyed me with Dr. Hughes was trying to say that alcohol and drugs, and I think one of the other shrinks said it as well, that alcohol and drugs always lead to violence. I mean, it doesn't. I mean, it's such a fairy tale.
Yeah. Sweet Arts. She is misleading the world by trying to act like the UK trial had all the truth, and we in the jury just don't know the facts, insulting the jury and calling us, the audience, stupid. 100%. Hellpike says, I think Elaine is going to get Amber sued for defamation. She hates Amber, so she is going to make more defamatory statements. Honestly, I would
That's unethical.
That would be very unethical. That would be very unethical. Daniel says, when is Isaac Baruch getting his own show? I see Maker's Mark have now changed their name to Maker's Leaves No Mark. The licensed gurus. Daniel, you're fucking killing me today.
Could you imagine the Baruch show though? That'd be great.
The Baruch show would be
the Baruch show, yeah.
Except for it would have to be on Skinamax based on some of the art that the guy does, because he'd be doing it naked. So the licensed guru. Remember, expert proved every single photo Amber Heard presented in court was altered, not in its original form. Every single photo. Yep. And that's why they shouldn't be allowed in court. Katarina, with a $30 Australian, says they have no evidence. Should there be a clause in these cases that you cannot keep lying and slandering a victim once they win? Well, that would be defamation, right? Technically, if you're saying something that goes against the verdict. UK believed her charitable donation. The 3 freeloaders over the cops' therapy notes are not medical evidence, and that's something everyone was screaming. I see how reasonable minds can disagree about that, Jordy, but I see your point, but
my point is that they should be. Because at the end of the day, it's all part of, I mean, your psychology, your body health, it's all part of your medical being. So it should all, and it's just my opinion, it should be. I get that it's not, and it's one of those things where
you understand how normies might take that the wrong way. You know?
Oh god, yeah. I completely understand how like
that's like, for example,
a person with no
Jordy,
knowledge would take it.
Technically, I'm a doctor. A doctor of the law.
Yeah, but I was going to say,
technically a doctor, right? I don't call myself a fucking medical expert, right? I ain't fucking diagnosing you, but I'm technically a doctor.
I always said that if I'd have got a doctorate in law, I would have gone by Dr. Walker. Well, obviously Walker's not my actual last name, but I would have gone by Doctor, and that would have been how I got people to address me. Just because, why not?
Angel's Heaven says, so I feel sorry for Elaine that she believes Amber. If I had a client, I would never get her as a lawyer. Greeting from Germany. If he gets kudos to all of LawTube. Finally, a real view of all of it. Mainstream media sucks. Sorry for my bad language. No. I mean, wait, you think sucks is bad language?
Definitely not.
Are you listening to my channel? I mean, okay, you can say whatever you want to say here, guys, in the super chats. As long as it'll let you super chat it, I'm down with it. Just saying. Justin Brown says, Elaine is butthurt by social media taking her out. 100%. Shout out to all the YouTubers discussing and explaining the world issues, using this platform for the truth to be brought to light. Keep pushing. Never going to stop, sweethearts. We're never going to stop. Human ID says, drop the charges on Julian Assange, the hypocrites. How do you feel about Julian Assange, Jordy? You have any thoughts on that?
Sorry, say that again.
Julian Assange. Do you know about Julian Assange?
The name rings a bell.
Okay, separate episode. You don't know about it, we'll move on. Next one. The judge also said she could have thrown the bottle because she didn't like vodka. I mean, you don't throw a bottle at another human because you don't like the alcohol. It's because you don't like the other human you're throwing it at. Relly G says, but wasn't the evidence in the UK hearsay? That's why they couldn't use it in the US case. I'm confused. Yeah, so Relly, in the US, it was hearsay. They couldn't bring it in. The point is they were allowed to bring it in under the UK rules of evidence, which allowed that through whatever rules they have. I don't know what those rules are, right? And there may be good reasons why they have those rules over there, and they may take a different theory on hearsay and evidence than we do. And that's the point of different countries. They can have different evidentiary standards, and once again, evidence is what you accept, as a culture as appropriate for due process.
Yeah, so hearsay can be entered as hearsay evidence.
Hmm.
And literally, that's the title of it. So we even have a specific category for evidence that is hearsay.
So you just let it in as hearsay evidence. Just call it hearsay evidence.
It has to be agreed. It has to be agreed upon.
Ah, okay.
So it can be challenged. But normally, I mean, again, there's a judge. So the judge will, at the end of the day, like, for example, in the Depp case, the judge allowed some hearsay evidence and not other hearsay evidence. So,
yeah. And guys, so here, what I'll do here is I'm going to catch the because we have a lot. I'm going to catch the $10 and up super chats here, and then we'll move on, and I'll get the rest at the end because I want to have a point here about the appeals, because I'm going to get to the title real quick, guys. The title, we're going to talk about the appeal chance. So we got one here for 10 Canadian, which from Tara Rayner, which says, have they talked about Trump yet? Seems like they got everybody else, and setback to the victims is gains and the setback to the victims is any gains male DV victims could have made. This isn't about a female victim. There isn't one in this case. Absolutely, there is not a female victim in this case. There is Johnny Depp as a victim. He was found to be a victim in this case, and then there is no other victims, right? That's pretty much it. The only thing they said was that Adam Wildman's statements damaged Amber Heard, but those weren't abuse. There was no abuse there in Adam Wildman's statements. There was no hitting that had to go on for that. So just be very, 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 very clear there. And then let's see, we got two more that I want to hit. That is Angie, who says Elaine and her PR team are trying to change the narrative, but we saw the whole courtroom system change. Amber is a liar. Nobody can change that. And now she is canceled. Very true on that. Alda says the UK case wasn't against Amber. It was against news group newspapers. Not only in a different country, there are different rules and legislation regarding the media. Yep, 100%. Okay, so let me jump into the appeal. So, Jordy, what do you know about U.S. appeals and the probability of winning for U.S. appeals?
I mean, the probability, as far as I'm aware, isn't very high. Depending on what, obviously, an appeal is all legal stuff rather than evidentiary stuff. And as far as I'm aware, no new evidence can be brought in. It's only evidence that was in the trial to an extent. And as far as I'm aware, they have to appeal based on judicial error. Is that correct?
Yes, that's true. It's got to be judicial error, law only. So at the lowest level, at trial, you're using evidence, right? You're bringing in new evidence. You're talking about stuff. You have testimony, yada, yada. At the appellate level, it is pure issues of law. Pure issues of law. And it's all appellate argument. So you get up and you make the argument based on the law. There's no witnesses. There's no testimony. It's just literally all oral argument. 100% oral, guys. And I actually did appellate argument in law school, and I won best oralist several times. And yes, I always made the puns about being the best at oral.
Of course.
Speaking of which, Britt says, I know a lot of people are worried about this trial being some sort of referendum on DV. However, I think lawyers should be more worried about the Wildmans statements. Yes. If lawyer equals agent, we have that. We have a stretch of agency. Yes, honestly, guys, to me, I was shouting from the rooftops on this. I think all of that should have been out there. I think the judge should have ruled on it and dismissed it. I think if this hadn't been a split decision, if it had just gone for Johnny on this, the judge might have came in and said something about the attorney-client privilege, or if she had an inkling it was going to go another way, she might have kind of been harder on that. But I think there's a big issue when you're relying on the statements of an attorney and you're imputing that to their client. That's real dangerous for attorneys. I would be really worried about that, because it's like, all right, now you got to control your clients, and now you got to control, what they're saying, and if that links up with what you're saying, and it's also silencing your speech as an attorney, your ability to have a complete, free, and fair speech.
Yeah, I'm not happy that the jury had to decide scope of employment on that. Not happy at all. I don't think that should have happened. And I think that's the only thing Judge A got wrong in this trial. And I mean, if I was Johnny's team and I lost, that'd be what I would be appealing on.
And they would win.
They would win 100%.
On that.
Yeah, 100% they would. Yeah. But there's no point Amber's attorney bringing that argument because, again, they would win on it. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, they won one of their claims. So, and the basis of their claim was letting the jury decide scope of employment. So, like, there's no point for Elaine to try and bring that argument at all.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't think there's any point of that at all. So what are some of the appealable points that you saw? So we obviously had, they didn't allow the Sun. We got this. They didn't allow the Sun trial, the Sun trial information in. Now, regardless of how, I understand your point.
I don't think that's appellant, though. I don't think you can appeal on that.
Right? There's
based
no
on my understanding of the US law. Like, US law, my understanding is if the exact same case has been brought in another country, you can't bring it again in the US. Is that correct?
If the exact same case has been brought in the United States, you can't bring it in. We don't give a shit about what other countries do. There's zero precedent or preclusionary effect for cases outside the United States. That's never in our whole history as a country been a thing.
Well, there we go then. Plus, also, you've got the fact that it wasn't about Amber anyway. Therefore, it has no direct correlation. The only correlation you can draw from the two cases is that she was a witness, and the judge obviously said that he agreed with 11 or 12 of the incidents that she claimed happened. So,
right.
I do get, like I said, I get what Elaine's attorney is saying. Elaine is the attorney. I get what Elaine is saying because that is clearly in black and white in his judgment. So you could say that the judge ruled on the DV, but technically she wasn't a party. Therefore, that's not how it works.
Right.
She's trying to get around that by going, oh yeah, it's in the judgment. He agreed with these incidences. But again, like I said, that's not how it works. Amber wasn't a party. Therefore, it doesn't fucking matter. Plus, that judge was bent as hell anyway.
That judge was really ridiculous. So they've got that. Okay, so then they went into evidence, right? So evidence that they failed to admit. Now, they're going to have a damn good barrier. They're going to show, and it's got to be based in U.S. law, not in U.K. law. So they can't bring up the fact that this evidence got in the U.K., it didn't get in here. That's not a winning argument in terms of the evidence itself. But if they excluded evidence, that might be a thing. And of course, they do get a second bite of the apple on that. And speaking of second bite of the apples, well, there's a second time this gentleman has been on my channel. He was lurking in the chat, and sometimes I entertain lurkers because I think they're pretty cool. They can be creepy, but this one, he's not creepy, at least not at this hour of the morning. That is Law Type by Mike. How's it going, brother?
Great. Thanks for having me.
I give the best intro.
What time is it there?
Oh no, I'm in America now, so it is actually 7:32. Normally it would be 6 p.m., but I'm in America right now.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Surely it'd be 8 p.m. at the moment in Korea because it's 12:30 in the UK and Seoul is 8 hours ahead, isn't it? Or is it 6 hours ahead of the UK?
You're probably right. Hold on. Everyone back home is gonna. Okay, yes, it's 8:32. You're right.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Jordy. Look,
how
listen,
do I
bro.
know Korean time better than you, bro?
Listen, buddy. I love you, but it's the morning here. I've been fucking up left and right in terms of my verbal stuff.
It's all good. It's all good.
I appreciate it, brother. I appreciate it. But Mike, hey, good morning. I love the people who end up awake in the morning. I can tell the grinders because, like you, or the people with kids. It's like you, Nate. I'll see some other folks. Some Tug is up. I know he has kids as well. Yeah. So it's interesting to see who's awake at like these ungodly times in the morning.
Yeah, I did a stream last night, and then I just passed out like early, and then I got up early, and then once the mind's kicked in, you can't go back.
Are you resetting your sleep schedule next week? Are you going to go back to normal or?
What do you mean without the trial?
Yeah, without the trial. The trial's over.
Yeah. The trial was awesome. I mean, it was so much fun for all of us.
Okay.
But like I had so many people ask me, and I said this on my stream last night. I'm like, I think I speak for all of us when I say it was awesome, but we're glad it's over.
Yes.
Although this morning, that's why I saw you were on, and I started watching. And I'm like getting coffee and just kind of waking myself up, and I was fascinated with this interview. I mean, I can't believe Elaine was saying that stuff. It's just
Yeah, yeah. And I've been going kind of hard on the ABA. I don't know if you heard that part of my rant, but you know, I don't like that our speech, we feel like we have to hold two hands behind our back. I mean that, and this is my beef with the ABA as an organization, right? I feel like it holds as content creators, the people that are two hands behind our back. And of course, I know when I'm saying something, I'm not saying it to level of knowledge, right? You know, I'm saying it on a general moral, ethical standpoint. But the fact that I have to, I hate the fact that I have to pull punches. I hate that. Yeah. Because, you know, we can aspire to be better as lawyers, right? We can aspire to do better as a profession. And I think you look at behavior like this and you say, we can do better. We can do better than this. Like, this is why people say sleazy lawyer, shyster lawyer. This is where it comes from. This is this type of behavior.
Elaine, I don't expect her to reverse fields. You come out and say, I disagree with the verdict. And anybody who's tried a case is going to do that. To not do that is to say, okay, everything I just said for the last 6 weeks is bullshit. Yeah, so true. You're not gonna do that. But she went across the line and attacked the jurors and said everybody's stupid, and it does not play well.
No.
I mean, accusing the jury of looking at social media and things like that. I mean, you can't levy an accusation like that without proof.
Yeah.
Yep. 100%. 100%. You've got to have some evidence that the jury was messing around, right?
And I hate the fact that they're using so much about social media in this bloody case. I mean, Johnny hasn't asked people on social media to do anything. People on social media have a mind of their own. Well, they do what the fuck they want to do. If they do not like you, they will fucking trounce you online. And that is just the way society is in this day and age.
And here's the thing, Jordy. A lot of people are just tuning in for this case. Hopefully a baby is not being microwaved in the background, Jordy, because
microwaved? Why microwave?
Well, the screaming. I'm like, is that?
She's not screaming. Okay. She's babbling. She's a toddler.
You have a good mic.
You have a good mic. Noises.
Yeah, you have a good mic. But it's so. God damn it! I got distracted. Okay, my train of thought got derailed. I'm easily derailed, guys. Okay, but where I was going with this is the grounds for appeal. Okay, and social media. Social media. This is not our first case. We've been covering, for example, I started doing Rittenhouse, right?
Right.
After that, you didn't hear people bitching. You didn't hear Binger and Krause bitching about social media then, right? Because it was in their favor, right? The media, social media was in their favor. There were all the TikToks, all this and that were in their favor. You didn't hear about it for other cases like, the Potter case, the Edgecombe case, a lot of other cases we've been covering. David said shit about social media. In fact, they've tried to organize social media when it's against the defendant.
Oh, sure.
To destroy their due process. But all of a sudden, when it's somebody that they're in the tank of, when it's Amber Heard and she's on the defensive, all of a sudden social media is an issue.
Well, social media didn't follow the media narrative. And they cannot have that. We could have happened. Like I was just watching this testimony. If I happened to agree, hey, Amber Heard got abused, I would have been saying that. Yeah. And then they wouldn't have had any problem. Then they would have thought, oh, that's just super cool. But I watched a testimony. That was not my opinion. That's not what I expressed. Right. And now I'm stupid as a result. Yeah, that's the way it is.
No, Mike, you're not just stupid. You're a bot.
And you're racist, and you're misogynist, and you're probably Russian. You're probably Russian.
All of it, yes.
Privyet, как дела? We will report to Putin at 12, It's fucking great. So we're talking about grounds for appeal. She talked about social media, UK trial, evidence being left out. Is there any other thing that you could see, Mike, or Jordy, anything other elements you could see pulled out as a potential grounds for appeal on this case?
When I was on with uncivil law, I think there was confusion in the wording when she was giving the jury instructions. I think the judge did a great job, by the way, but I think it was a mistake there that you could.
Which jury instruction?
When you go to give damages. However, the way the verdicts came back, that didn't seem to be an issue. So I think that sort of precludes that. Off the top of my head, the social media, I think she's in a real bad spot because she injected it into her argument, which I thought was just a horrifically bad idea. But I think also immunizes it as a good appealable issue for them. You're the one mentioning the umbrella guy.
Yeah.
What do you expect?
Can you appeal the allowing of a witness?
You can appeal anything, any decision they made as a matter of law.
Is the Hicksville witness appealable because of his bias?
Oh yeah, you could appeal that.
Yeah,
Jordy,
because
It's a spaghetti on the wall. You take it all, you throw it out there in an appeal, and you see if
what
one
sticks.
piece sticks. It really is. It really is.
The bad thing is I think that Johnny's got better appealable issues than she does.
Yes, 100%.
Yes.
Like, so they've excluded, I mean, they, for instance, excluded the tape where she goes out, where the sister goes out and shows the bruise. That arguably should have been let in. I don't know. I don't care. I'm not even making that determination. I'm just saying that is a much more damning piece of evidence, and it was excluded. And we can go down the line with statements and stuff like that. There was a lot more excluded evidence that was helpful to Johnny than Amber.
Right. So this one, I don't. Let's see, Uncle Brat, $50. So thank you so much. Which, if it's $20 or up, or I'll answer it right away. But otherwise, I'm going to save the supers to the end because I don't want to disrupt the flow. But this is good. So thank you. Back to bankruptcy. I heard from Lawn Lumber that Amber Heard would have a major problem in discharging the compensatory damages. Now, I don't practice bankruptcy law. I don't pretend to, right? So I don't know what would prevent that. I'm not familiar. I don't know whether Rob is a bankruptcy lawyer or not, or whether he knows maybe something about Virginia law. I'm not sure, but I don't know what problems he sees there. But from my knowledge, you would be able to at least try to discharge it. Obviously, a bankruptcy judge could say, nah, you got to pay that. But I don't know. I mean, Mike, do you have any knowledge there?
I'm not a bankruptcy expert, but I mean, I think you could file one here, and then the question is whether or not each particular debt is dischargeable.
Yeah.
And certainly that's federal law. Right. But they will look to that. The classics that I hear are child support and taxes.
Right.
That you can't get rid of.
Right.
I'm again not being an expert, but I've never heard a judgment. I'll give it to you this way: I'm a plaintiff's attorney. And if we get a big excess judgment, we consider it a zero. Like we're not going to be able to collect against the defendant. We just do. We don't even pursue like that in collection generally because we just think whatever. If we get the policy, we call it a day.
Because
I mean, you explore it, but you're thinking, no, this isn't collectible.
You're like, no, this is done. Yeah,
right.
We're done here. Yeah, no, I got it. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes complete sense. So yeah, that to me makes sense. I mean, I think that Amber's got a problem though because she's got potential future income. I mean, and I think she's going to be continuing to work. I think she's going to be continuing to do stuff. So I don't think she's going to be Amber. Just
I mean, how's she going to work when she's been blacklisted by Warner Bros. Likely now. So
OnlyFans is available. I mean, she's got a lot of these. Not for too long. But
she's hitting the wall. Not for.
It's a niche.
It looks okay, but yeah.
The turd fetish. It'll
she's a good looking woman for her age, but she can't compete with a 22-year-old.
That's very true.
She knows that. Those are facts.
So, Mike, I love
here's a question I have going back to your bankruptcy thing as well: is can you declare bankruptcy when there's actual malice?
What do you mean?
Well, she lost her case because her statements were made with malice.
Yeah, bankruptcy doesn't factor that in. It doesn't factor in like your.
Would it not factor in how the debt occurred and the debt?
There's a seniority. There's like a seniority chart, but like that's what I don't know. I don't know where a judgment is on the seniority chart, and like if there's a possibility that maybe you're right. Maybe the malice factors into what seniority they give it. Right. So which debts get paid first, which debts don't get paid at all. That's what I don't know and I can't speak to. So is it possible
I've just been DM'd on Twitter by one of your mods, actually, that says Amber's verdict is non-dischargeable in bankruptcy because the jury made a finding of malice. In the federal bankruptcy code, there is an express provision that expect judgments of malice from that exempt judgments of malice from dischargeability. So Amber Heard is stuck with this. So apparently judgments of malice are exempt from dischargeability in the federal bankruptcy code.
Let me look that up.
I mean, I'm willing to believe it, but
I'm not American, so I don't know that.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I think I see that. I think I see it right here. So, and guys, you can thank you for sending it to Jordy. You can also send it to me because I do check my Twitter DMs. I know you guys think I don't. It may be a message request though, which might be
don't normally check mine. So it's good.
So this is just like me looking this up real quick. I think if I just search for, I think malice is probably here. Let's see.
If you just do Control F and do malice.
I'm on my other second screen here. So
I think there's also some suggestion that punitive damages aren't dischargeable for some reason. I don't know, but I heard
saying that, but yeah, I don't know about that. No, the compensatory damages apparently aren't dischargeable, is what I've heard. But again, I don't know enough about American law to comment on that.
Interesting. To the extent such a debt is a penalty, forfeiture, benefit to a government student, and not compensation for actual pecuniary loss. Okay, so look, I'll look up the bankruptcy code after this because this is not my area of specialty. I was just trying to Google what somebody said in the chat real quick, but we'll look it up later. But I'm willing to believe.
Apparently,
it, right?
Rob's done a video on it as well.
Cool.
Yeah.
Rob's done a video on it, right? Good stuff. And that would just make it more difficult for her. Look, I'm happy if she can't discharge it. Listen, I'm not going to be crying for Amber.
She might be able to squeeze this out of Elon or something like that, but she doesn't have the assets. That's clear to me.
It's possible. Yeah, it is possible.
What would be interesting is if she filed a bankruptcy and they tried to claw back the attorney's fees she paid out.
Right, and
that would be a nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah, and I saw the mod who sent it to me, but you didn't send me a citation, and I like the citation. You just sent me an explanation that it's not dischargeable. So you know me, I like to see. It's like show me the Carfax, show me the citation.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, let's continue here. But thank you guys, appreciate. This is why I love LawTube. The chat is fucking awesome, and they're like sleuths, so they will go out there and they will fucking find shit for you. But and Ashley, if I missed your last message, sending a message to tell you that you missed the last message, took the excitement out of my morning. Thanks for giving me an early rise or something to do anyways. I'm going to get to all the ones. I probably just haven't gotten to it yet on the list. I skipped the ones that were under 10 just because there's so many. I'm going to save those for the end, and I'm not going to make these guys stick around for that. So if they want to bounce for that, I'll let them bounce. But in terms of appellate rates, this is something I wanted to bring up, and tell me if this data doesn't jive with you. But I just pulled up this study, which is a fairly recent study on appellate rates. And just in terms of how often people appeal and how often they're successful, and essentially, looking at them, they're saying, okay, for tried cases, the filing rate is 19% for non-tried, and about 40% of tried cases are appealed, and of those, the reversal rates, which differ for plaintiffs and defendants reach a reversal rate of adverse trial judgments in about 10% of filed cases and suffer affirmance in about 15%. And then plaintiffs achieve reversal in 4% and affirmance in 16%. So pretty low digit numbers for
That's
appeals.
what I expected. That's why those kind of low numbers are what I would expect from appeals.
Yep.
That's
because you don't want appeals to be going through regularly, because again, it means your judicial system's crap. I mean, in the early days, you would have had lots and lots of appeals, but as your judicial system evolves and hopefully gets better, you would expect those numbers to dwindle down, and I would expect in 20 years' time those numbers to be even lower than that, maybe in like the low single digits, like the 1%, 2%, 3% kind of numbers.
Yes. And by the way, guys, the one thing I wanted to say about this though, when people ask me, can it be appealed? Can it be overturned? I have to say, yes, it is possible for it to be overturned on appeal. It's possible you get a very sympathetic judge who looks at the evidence in a very sympathetic light and overturn it. However, I would give it less probability than even one of those, right? So if 10% is just the generic out of the blue with your garden variety facts, I think the facts are so against Amber, I would give it a sub 5%, maybe even a sub 2% chance of success upon appeal. I don't know if you're willing to do numbers or wager or give probabilities here, Mike, but I just don't see it being a high probability of an overturn.
It's a low probability because ultimately the issues, I don't see any great issues for them that could get there. And a lot of these appeals are filed, and I think this is a good example. You, as a matter of course, like you almost have to, if your client's really like hyper or something like so. A lot of times the attorneys think this appeal's going nowhere, but I just have to file it, or I'll have some issue with my client. Yeah. I definitely see that. Did you have any thoughts? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jordy.
See, I think there'd be a higher chance of just the judgment being nullified and nobody winning or losing. In terms of the appeal goes through, the current judgment is overturned or nullified and made null and void, and then the new judgment is nobody wins, nobody loses. Which is one of the outcomes we kind of partially expected from the jury anyway.
I think
and the reason I say that is because Amber's Heard team could find some obscure appellant reasons, as we've already discussed, but Johnny's team also has appellant reasons. So if both, and I'm sure Johnny's team would probably raise those issues during the appeal. So if I'm a judge and I'm listening to both teams that have both sides of the attorneys that have appellant arguments that could potentially be valid, I'd nullify it and say, well, okay, you're both wanting to appeal this and you both have potentially valid reasons to appeal this. We'll just say that nobody won, nobody lost.
Yeah, but generally speaking, they remand it.
Yeah, generally.
So it's usually not the appellate court just saying, okay, well, here's the final judgment. It's usually remand to the trial court.
Right, so it gets reopened, basically.
Right. I think the best appeal in this whole thing would be for Johnny to appeal the judgment against him because they didn't, as a matter of law, establish it. I still don't think that will be successful, but it's the most likely successful appeal that I see.
Why would you waste your money on that? I mean, you know what I mean? It's like for Johnny, he can walk away right now in the win. He doesn't need to appeal. Amber needs to.
But he will now. If they're going to appeal, you definitely cross appeal.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Because if they're doing it, then you're doing it, right? Then you're in. They're in for a dime and for a dollar. But yeah, of course, you have to do that because you're not going to let the $2 million stick if they get the $8 million tossed. But I think that the likelihood is that Johnny may get his tossed, and she may be stuck with $2 million more scenario. Yeah, $2 million more. Yep. It's possible. It's very possible. So that would be the biggest own if she got stuck with $2 million more because the counterclaim got tossed. Which is a possibility.
If I'm representing Johnny, I'd say we're not filing up. I would say to my client, this you're not well. You made your point. Everything's good, and he would say, "Great, yes, I'm happy." And then as soon as they appeal, I'd say, "Okay, now we have to cross appeal. We have to put them at risk as well." Mm-hmm. And display that we have a better appeal than they do. We have to, even to defend this appeal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And by the way, guys, I just took the 2 seconds to add Law Talk with Mike to the description. So if you'd like to follow his channel, if you like Law Talk with Mike, please go down there in the description. You can follow him and get his morning takes and his evening takes and whenever the guy decides to be awake. So I always appreciate it. Guys, by the way, there are 11,000 of you in the chat right now. If you smash the like button right now, all of you did, we will go up 25% in likes. But we're doing pretty good, guys. I mean,
you should give him the cowboy hat treatment again.
I'm gonna get fine.
Match your cowboy hat.
Okay. I gotta take the problem is I gotta take my headphones off for it.
It's early. Let's do it.
And just because somebody said they were cheated, because they didn't get full screen.
There you go.
You got it, partner.
It's a good look.
I hate this view. That's the bad view. All right. So.
But your white hat's a lot cooler than mine.
Yeah. Well, mine's seen some shit. By shit, I mean really, really drunk in downtown Orlando at a bunch of Halloween parties.
Wow, that sounds fun.
It was fucking great. The UCF girls are crazy. Anyways, I have a super backlog of super chats. I am fearful that if I do not start them now, I will not finish for 3 hours. So I'm going to jump into that. Both of you guys are happy to stick around, but if you go, that's fine. Just so you know, it's totally fine. I know you guys are busy and have stuff to do, but I got to get through these because I'm fearful now.
I'm going to get out of your way. Nice to meet you, Jordy.
Thank you so much.
And you, Mike.
It was awesome having a cup of coffee with you guys.
Take care, guys. Or take care, Mike, rather.
I'll see you later, Andrew. I'm going to go because it's bank holiday, so I've got things to do.
Cheers. Get that banking done, my friend. It's good to see you.
Have a good one.
All right. Here we go, guys. Jumping into this. I'm going to burn through these super chats, and we're going to do speed mode. All right. So SoCal Chris says, if there are 11 to 12 incidents of abuses, there must be reasons why they weren't admitted here. Yes, because we have different evidentiary rules, right? And we don't admit evidence and findings of those judges, right? And I know what Jordy was saying in terms of, okay, we should admit the fact that there was a ruling in, but you can't do that without context. I think that would make the trial really skewed. I agree with Judge Escanate on this, so I'm on that side. Pete says, the jury is the American fact finder, not the UK judge. I agree with that. Mr. Bite Sequel says, boil my piss. Ask Elaine to explain the dupe photos as evidence. How do they think it was smart to submit and rely on those? It wasn't. It was freaking dumb. David Bryce for £2 says, go have another cuppa, Jordy. I think that's fuck you in British, is go have another cuppa. Reasonable minds can disagree. Ashley Capistran says, I'm so sick of mainstream media making normal Americans out to be idiots who can't figure out facts and draw their own conclusions. Has anyone heard what Tug had apparently found out about the judge's ties to the newspaper? Yes, we've heard of that. And also we've heard that we've seen the web. There's kind of this picture of the web in the UK trial. The judge is so interconnected, which is why Jordy said it was corrupt, right? That judge never should have been on that case. Due process would have been served by that judge never being on that case. Melody says, but the judge in the UK was dirty. He was with the Sun. Yes, that's what people are saying. John Yarber says, what a judge in the UK thinks does not mean anything here. I agree. Erica B says, the judge in the UK literally filled in her story where it didn't make sense in his ruling. It was so corrupt. That's what a lot of people say. That's why that wasn't admitted, and I am happy it wasn't admitted. Tara says, have they blamed Trump yet? Seems like they got everybody else. And a setback to victims is a gain for male DV victims. Yeah, the one thing they haven't done is they haven't blamed Trump. That's very, very true. Salty Scotch says, thank you for all of your commentary. Enjoyed watching you and Nick during the live trials. I hope the judges don't limit other cases from being televised. We all need to understand our legal system better. They won't. Don't be afraid. They're not going to do it. This sold too much. This was too profitable. It was too great. This was a cultural moment. I do not think this is going to close off courtrooms. I do not think this is going to remain a spectacle. And I am not so much of a fearful person that I think this is going to be a problem. And by the way, somebody sent me the citation. Jordy sent me the citation. 11 USC 523A6. Debts for willful malicious injuries are accepted from discharge. So cool. And there's a case, Tinker versus Colwell. Awesome. Great. Great to see those citations. Silver Doe says, morning. Nichols' UK trial said, I am not deciding. I am not charged with convicting anybody in his UK ruling. Amber did commit perjury. That's crazy. That's crazy. I mean, it's a civil trial, so I guess it's not a conviction technically, but Nichols made a decision, and the fact that he allowed perjury to come to that decision, that is material. John Yarber says, Elaine is the Al Sharpton of the Me Too movement. Holy shit. Holy shit. Someone needs to meme Elaine on Al Sharpton's body. I think that would be hilarious. I mean, I'm just saying, if I see an Elaine as Al Sharpton, I'm not going to complain. Just saying. I may show it next stream. Paulina says, for $5 says, this reporter is referencing Laura Dern's character in Marriage Story without the punch and to a turd. Laura Dern is a good actor, though. Don't put her on Elaine. Pamela B says, was watching Rakeda live for the verdict, and I took some awesome screenshots of you and everyone's reaction to the verdict. Where can I email you? Pamela, you can email me at andrewesquirelive@gmail.com. So if you want to email me, andrewesquirelive@gmail.com. Check that out. Email me anything you want to that email if you have something to email to me, even memes. Ashna says, as a barrister unregistered, I do have to admit I've seen many judges and other barristers acting unprofessionally. They definitely can be biased. And look, you're sending it from the UK, British pounds. So in all countries, we can strive to have our prosecutors, have our lawyers live to a higher standard. And what I'm calling for is for us to live to a higher standard. I don't think what Elaine did should be ethical. I think that if the ABA isn't willing to sanction it, they should change the rules so it's sanctionable. That's all I'm saying, guys. And I'm willing to come out and say that and take a little leap there. Crafts for others. Elaine, I think she looks like a sore loser, or she thinks she is on an episode of The Twilight Zone. She does look like an episode of The Twilight Zone, I'll tell you that. Pastor Flash says, ripped off, didn't full screen hat. Joke's on you, I just full screen hats multiple times, so hopefully you got those screenshots, guys. Dixie Wrecked says, Murdoch Disinvested owns 80% of mainstream media. Yes, he does. Amanda said, missed some. Did they let the recordings into the UK? I don't know, but I don't believe they did allow the Australian recordings into the UK. Otherwise, Amber probably wouldn't have won. Those looked horrible. Nat Dialogue from Britain with 2 British pounds says, have you guessed it with or been compared to Mark Dice? People compare me to Mark Dice all the time. I didn't even know who he was till I got on the internet. And now I'm called Mark Dice every other stream, which is fine. Eve Barlow's Rotten Crotch says, please denounce the hashtag cut for Amber. It's appropriate. I think sit on a bottle for Amber is more fitting. Oh, God. But by the way, I'm going to say one thing real quick, being serious. This cut for Amber is disgusting. It is manipulative, and it is horrible. These people showing pictures of them bleeding and cutting themselves and being like, I'm cutting for Amber. This is what jurors made me do. That's fucked up. That is fucked up. Maverick Buckley says, and by the way, it's a sign of a mental health problem. Jordy, how is the UK system not political? We didn't even have a woke Supreme Court until the Labour/Blair founded it and packed it with life-termers in 2008. Maverick Buckley, I am not aware of how your Supreme Court works, but if you're telling me it's woke, it's woke. And if it's woke, it's destined to fail. Trust me, my friend. Bill B sent a $1 Australian, just a blank super sticker, so I appreciate that. Angels Heaven, I just tried to be polite here. All good. That's all good. William Burr says psych records are all hearsay. They could be hearsay. It depends on what they're saying in those records. Brick Cormier says, I know people are worried about the trial being a referendum on DV. Oh, I got that one. That's about lawyers should be worried. Yes, lawyers should be worried about the Wildmans statements. I agree, Britt. Christopher Lynn says, if that certain Aquaman starlet was completely telling the truth, then why didn't her team firmly push for there to be no cameras in the courtroom? Why did they push for there to be no cameras in the courtroom? Hashtag truth never perishes. Yes, she wasn't telling the truth, which is why they were pushing for no cameras in the courtroom. She was lying, so they didn't want that exposed on national TV. They wanted that hidden. They wanted nobody to know that she was lying. But surprise, surprise, she's a fucking liar. And we all saw it live, and now the internet is forever. We have her caught, and she will never live it down. We've got Amber, and she will never work again, thank the Lord. Except for in the adult industry. Boomer says, would the attorney issue set precedents only in civil or in court case too? Well, I don't know what you're asking about attorney issue. Boom her, when you were saying, would the attorney issue set precedents only in civil court or in criminal court too? I don't know what you're talking about. If you're talking about admitting evidence from other countries, that would set national precedent for both criminal and civil court. That would be an evidentiary change. Almost no country does that. Admits evidence from other countries. That would be insane. That would be international news if that was allowed. Romo Drummer says, made a video on how scripted mainstream media videos are. Go watch it. Thanks. All right, well, watch Romo Drummer's video on mainstream media videos. They are scripted, they're planned, and they cooperate. What are your thoughts on Washington Post posting Tugg's earnings and commentary against the verdict? Listen, I think that they're trying to shame Tugg, but here's what they don't know. Tugg is my buddy. Tugg is my friend. We talk behind the scenes. Tugg doesn't give a fuck, and Tugg is going to keep doing what Tugg's going to do. Tugg is an ideologically committed person. And you know what? Let me send a message to Tugg. I'm going to send him right now a message. Maybe he's on, maybe he's awake right now and up and can come on. I'll say, and if you want to discuss the WAPO income, feel free to come on. So he's got the. So now Umbrella Guy has it. So that Umbrella Guy has the link. So he's got the link so he can come on. So if he's awake right now, sometimes he is. I didn't send him the link for today, but he's got it right now. If he wants it, he can come on. I just send him the links. If he wants to come, he can come. If he doesn't want to come, he doesn't have to come. That's the beauty of this. And the point is that Tugg is not doing this for the money. Tugg has been doing this because he believes in it, right? The money is a reward that he deserves for all his hard work, right? That's what he deserves. But the Washington Post trying to shame him for that is disgusting. It's shameful. Let's post how much the Washington Post makes. Let's post how much the Washington Post makes from their sponsored content. Yeah, guys, sponsored content. They get thousands and thousands of dollars. I guarantee you hundreds of thousands of dollars from sponsored content. That is essentially content that people are paying them to drop. By the way, Sweethearts, thank you for the 149 super sticker. I appreciate that. Paul Waldrop says, can Judge Penny pull Elaine in for what she is doing? Seems to me she is putting out to the world that Johnny did heinous crimes that she has been cleared of. Technically, Judge Ascanante could do that. I don't think she will, but she technically could. But I really don't think she will. Judges are very reticent to sanction people, especially now that the case is closed. It would look a little weird. Mephistic Miasma says, could Amber Heard get out of paying her lawyer fees via bankruptcy? So we talked about that, and that's something we were discussing. And what was brought up is there does appear to be a provision of the bankruptcy code that when you're convicted of something for malice, it's non-dischargeable. So I do appreciate you guys super sleuthing this. That's great. If Rob did a video on it, then go check out Rob's video. Once again, I don't practice bankruptcy. I haven't had to declare it. So, there you go. Ian McMillan, $2 super chat. Just send that out. Thank you very much. No message. So thank you for just sending that. Who's a Roxbury says, me low-key hoping for Elon to come out in support of Amber Heard so I can buy the dip in Tesla stocks. Man, that'd be a huge dip if he comes out in support of Amber Heard. All right, the Squid. Anyone you want to take bets on either OnlyFans or Twitch stream to pay up? I'll bet $5 hairs that it's within 6 months. I mean, if she's not doing straight up adult content. I mean, it's always an option, guys. It's always an option. The leaked video comes out, right? The leaked nude video comes out after so long. It's always possible. Never doubt it, guys. Although, like Mike said, she's getting a little on there. She's getting a little on there in age. So she's a little bit up there in terms of porn star age. It's a harsh industry that doesn't care about your feelings. It just cares about the size of your boobs. Let's see. Thomas Johnson says, check your Twitter. I sent you a clip from Law and Crime about appeals and bonds. I'm very careful. So, Thomas, I'll check it, but I don't really play Law and Crime stuff. So here's what I'll do. If it's good, I'll look at it and I'll see if I can find something else or a way to clip it or look at it and not have Law and Crime come after us. If you don't know, we call Law and Crime Law and Cuck. That's their name because they copyright strike us. They hate us because of our coverage of the Rittenhouse case. So they do not like LawTube. So I am very reticent to use Law and Cuck, just so you know. Diego Machado, cutting isn't a sign of any old personality disorder. It's a sign of it's classic borderline symptom. Amber's stands are damaged in the same way that she is. Yes, it's identifying with Amber and having the same thing they do. I agree with that, Diego. My dog stepped on a bee says some people were empathetic for Elaine as being another victim. She's clearly the same as Amber Heard. Shows to that. My dog stepped on a bee. Thanks to Tug, you and other lawyers. Great job. No, guys, thank you guys for being here, for helping us spread the message, for sharing this. Guys, you've gotten on this video 5,555 likes. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. You guys are fucking awesome. Literally are the best people ever. This audience is the best ever, and I have the best chat ever because you guys are hilarious. I'm a veggie. Mainstream says Andrew. Mainstream media will go after you. Tug, LawTube, and independent creators hard. We got your back, but hope you all got each other's back. Cheers, buddy. Yeah, I have everybody's back who's got my back. They got my back, I got their back, right? It's a mutual thing, right? If someone's stabbing me in the back, then I'm obviously don't have their back, right? Also, if they're not gonna step up and not gonna help others, I don't got their back. But to the extent they got mine, I got theirs. I think we're gonna get through this together. Tug, I got his back for sure. Nick Ricada, I got his back. All the people that I know and have reached out to me, I got their back. There's some people who are creators who are doing content on this, and I don't even know them. But here's the thing: by continuing to stay tuned with us, continuing to watch the creators you like, and us talk about how mainstream media is coming for independent creators, because guys, the topics we're going to be covered are not covered by mainstream media. They're going to be the opposite. You're going to see what we're covering in here, and I've always covered topics that are not covered by mainstream media. These are stuff that they're not talking about. These are things that you guys bring to me, and I look at mainstream media, and either they're not talking about it or they're literally lying to you. It's, in fact, better if they're lying, because then we can expose the lies of mainstream media. But we're never going to stop. Storm Dancer says, mainstream, you have to pay to listen. Tug and others like him, you can donate money if you want to. It's a big difference. Yes, Storm Dancer, that's 100% true. It's all about voluntariness. This is voluntary. You guys don't have to donate. You guys don't have to do that, but it helps me, and you know that this helps me be able to speak my mind and do what I want to do and tell you guys the truth. My dog stepped on a bee says, at least one company wants to work with Amber Heard's OnlyFans. The time is now. Time is now. Guys, the call is out there. Call is out there. Did Judge Pirro's statement online was great? Did you see it? No. Send it to me on Twitter, at The Legal Mindset. I have not seen that one. Angela G says, from what I've seen, Elon is done with Amber. Yeah, she's crazy, so I wouldn't doubt that at all. I wouldn't doubt that at all. And my dog stepped on a bee, said, saw you on FNF the other day. Great stream. Yes, thank you very much. I collaborate with everybody I can to get this message out there. It is so important that we get this message out there to beat the mainstream media, because they are coming at us with guns blazing on this and all other issues. Great question as we wrap up. What are you covering next? Deshaun Watson, Manson. I'm going to cover both those cases. I have one last thing on the just blowback on Amber Heard on Monday. And I think come Tuesday, we'll probably be moving on past this issue unless there's some crazy development. So maybe 1 or 2 streams, maybe 1 or 2 on Monday, maybe a Tuesday. But after that, we're moving on. I'm going to do a lot of research over this weekend. Guys, I am enjoying my weekend. It is Friday here. I am sitting back. I'm sipping some drinks. I'm having some fun. I suggest you guys go out and do the same. Stay out there. Stay working hard. Stay committed to the truth. Stay based as fuck. And I will catch you guys next time. Peace.